You know what's better than a swoony historical romance? A swoony historical romance where the heroine is inspired by a real woman who actually existed. There's just something about knowing that these incredible love stories were actually rooted in history, even if the romance itself wasn't. It just makes them so much better. Today, I've got 3 amazing historical romances for you that all feature heroines inspired by real-life trailblazers, and we're going beyond the usual European ballrooms, so stick around for that. First, we have Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas, which gives us Dr. Garrett Gibson. Dr. Gibson is the only female physician in England, and she's tough, brilliant, and definitely not looking for romance. But then she meets Ethan Ransom, a former Scotland Yard detective turned spy who is completely fascinated by her. He is the kind of hero who doesn't feel threatened by her intelligence. He's obsessed with it, and we love to see that. They have a whirlwind romance where he's actually trying to protect her, but he's also respecting her space, and she's fiercely battling a male-dominated field and society and trying to carve out her space and respect in that as well. And of course, you know that I'm gonna love the romance between them. It is a Lisa Kleypas novel, so it is top-notch. But Garrett's character is actually inspired by Dr. Elizabeth Garrett Anderson, the first woman to qualify as a physician and surgeon in Britain. In the 1800s, becoming a female doctor was unheard of, but Dr. Anderson fought her way into the profession, paving the way for women in medicine. So while Hello Stranger delivers this amazing romance with intrigue and everything that you would expect from Lisa Kleypas, it also gives us a heroine who was breaking barriers and a hero who actually respected her for it. Next, let's move on to the American Civil War with An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. Now, this book follows Elle Burns, who is a former slave with a photographic memory, which is actually a very useful skill for the Union, so she volunteers as a Union spy, and she goes undercover in the South, disguised as an enslaved woman even after being freed, to work in a Confederate household gathering intelligence for the Union Army. And that's where she meets Malcolm McCall, a Pinkerton detective that's also working undercover as a Confederate soldier. The two of them end up on a dangerous mission together, and let's just say there's tons of tension, but it's also such a satisfying and incredible romance. But back to our heroine, Elle's character is actually inspired by a lot of real-life Black women who were spies for the Union. And in particular, we can talk about Mary Bowser, who infiltrated the Confederate White House and passed along crucial information, all while pretending to be an illiterate servant. Now, just imagine the sheer bravery that would take. And I think An Extraordinary Union captures that same high-stakes intensity and delivers a romance that's filled with admiration and trust, and just two people that are fighting for something that's bigger than themselves and a greater cause, but who can't resist each other. So if you love historical romance with a bit of espionage and real-life heroism, then this one is a must-read. And now for something completely different, we have The Lotus Palace by Jeannie Lin. It's set in Tang Dynasty China, and our heroine, Yu Ying, is a former courtesan's maid who finds herself caught up in a murder mystery alongside Bei Huang, a charming but seemingly careless scholar. So the two of them team up to uncover the truth, but along the way they realize that there's a lot more beneath the surface, including their growing feelings for each other. Now, while Yu Ying isn't based on one specific historical figure, her story is very much inspired by real women from Tang Dynasty China. Back then, courtesans weren't just entertainers, they were highly educated in poetry, music, and conversation, and many of them had more influence than noble women. Women like, for example, Jue Tao, a famous poet who started as a courtesan, or Yu Zhuangzi, a poet and Taoist nun later on, who left their mark on history in ways that most people don't realize. Now, the Tang Dynasty was actually one of the most progressive periods for women in China, but it was also a world where status could be lost in an instant. And that tension is what makes The Lotus Palace so fascinating. It's actually a slow burn romance with an immersive historical backdrop that is really going to transport you there in this very atmospheric setting, but also you will feel every bit of the societal stakes in this love story. And that's it. These are 3 incredible historical romances with heroines that are inspired by real women and real life events. So whether you love a bit of a Victorian trailblazer, some Civil War spies, or the intrigue of Tang Dynasty China. These books are just going to prove you that history is full of badass women who deserve a love story of their own. So which one are you most excited to pick up and read? Or do you have any other historical romances that are inspired by real badass women in history? Let me know in the comments, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss our next recommendation. And also don't forget to subscribe for free to our Substack so you don't miss any of the content that we post across all of our platforms. All of the links for that are going to be in the description box down below. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!